There was this time in my life when even small things felt impossible, like getting out of the bed in the morning or even respond to a message from a friend. And I didn't tell anyone about this because I wasn't sure what's happening with me. I just knew that I wasn't okay. So at that time I thought that maybe I need just more rest, or maybe I just need more discipline, maybe I'm lazy, or maybe I'm not motivated. But none of the advices that I saw on the internet regarding the discipline or motivation was working, because what I was experiencing was a burnout. And before we continue with this video, I want to make a quick disclaimer here. If you are experiencing severe burnout or depression and you feel that you can deal with it yourself, please go and ask for help. I'm not a therapist or a medical advisor. I'm just sharing my personal story, my personal journey, and things that helped me. So if you feel that you need help, please go and ask for help from professionals. The reason I'm making this video is that when I was going through burnout, I felt that I may never recover and I may never feel myself again. And I just want to share this journey with people that maybe are in a similar situation, and maybe my story will help one of them to recover and to live better life. Because I can say that now I'm not only recovered from burnout, my life became much better, much more fulfilling than it was previously. So if you're struggling with burnout right now, I hope this video will give you some hope and some ideas of your next actions. And for those of you who want just a short version of this video with the actionable steps, I'll list them right now on the screen so you can check those and just pause this video. But I really do recommend you to watch the entire video, because the background and the overall story is also important, not just the actionable steps, because the steps are like the consequences and you need to understand what brought you to this stage, to what brought the burnout into your life. So before I share what helped me recover from burnout, I want to give you a little background on my story. And if you want to skip this part, feel free to use the timestamps from this video and go directly to the actionable steps. But I think it's important for you to understand a bit of my background, because burnout doesn't appear from nowhere. Usually there's some story behind it. There are some beliefs, habits, our past that's slowly shaping our life and our experience. So in my case, I grew in a post-Soviet country where there was a lot of expectations, especially around women. And from a very young age, I was taught to be a good girl. You stay quiet, you don't bother, you don't ask questions, you don't express yourself, you should take care of others, you should share, and so on. And understand me, I don't say that those are bad things, because caring and sharing are very good values to have, are very good values to raise in your children's, in your family. The problem begins when caring for others is meaning completely abandoning your personal interests and needs. It's like when your own needs become less important than everybody else's. Because in our society we were taught that saying that I need something, meaning that you are being selfish. And for many years I was carrying that vision. Maybe sometimes I even didn't realize it, but it was so deeply rooted in my personality that I carried through all the areas in my life. My personal life, my jobs, my school years. And I think this belief played a huge role in my burnout. Because you see, if you are constantly ignoring your body, your needs, then your body will force you to stop and listen to it. And there is this one idea that took me years to understand, but I really want you to listen and read it carefully and think about it. Because a selfish person will say, there's only me. And a healthy person will say, there's also me. And this is a big difference. Both sentences emphasize the role of me, but it's just completely different perspective. So being a healthy person and taking care of your needs doesn't make you selfish. So now that you understand a little bit of my background, of course it's just like a general, there are a lot of factors that influenced it. Let's move on to the steps that helped me to recover from burnout and to take my life in my hands back again. So the first step is comparable to building a house. You need a solid baseline, because when you are burnt out, your body runs on an empty full tank. And the mistake many of us make is trying to fix our life when we don't even have the proper energy to just run through a day. So what I did, I focused on the basics first, on rebuilding my baseline of my needs. And the most important here is your sleep. Sleep in general, it's really important for your mental and physical recovery. So 8 hours of sleep must be your first priority when you start to rebuilding your baseline. And I've been there. I know that this is a real struggle, because burnout often comes hand in hand with undersleeping, because when you go to bed, maybe you start to overthink, you have anxiety, your mind just constantly rushing. So I understand that this might be also a difficult task. And because a lot of people that experience burnout are also perfectionists, I want to mention here that please don't try to make the 8 hours the only target. Like if you slept 6 hours, you feel like a failure. No. If you yesterday slept 3 hours, today you slept 3 hours and a half, that's already a win. The whole idea of recovery from burnout is to take small steps. Maybe those small steps that you don't feel during a day or a week, but trust me, they compound in something bigger, and by the time you will feel this massive change in your life. So start with small things. Start increasing your sleep time, even with 15 minutes, even half of hour, an hour a day, and gradually increase it. The second thing, check your deficits. And here I mean check your vitamin level, because sometimes burnout is fueled by also physical conditions. For example, lack of vitamin D always cause symptoms of anxiety, depression. Same goes for iron, especially for women. So make the basic medical checks and make sure that your body has enough macronutrients or micronutrients, vitamins to function as it should. Because sometimes the cause is not our mental fatigue, is just our body doesn't have enough resources to fuel itself and to function as it should. Looking back now, I understand that healing from burnout was actually about learning to listen to my body, to its needs, to nourish it properly, to take care, to let it rest. Because years and years and years I put my needs aside. I didn't listen to my body, and the burnout was a sign for me to stop and finally to start listening to myself. So step 2 actually come hands in hand with step 1, rebuilding your baseline, and this is asking for help. Because the interesting thing about burnout is often it pushes you to isolate yourself. You feel like you don't have time or energy or desire to communicate. You start to isolate from your family or your friends or your partners, and this is one of the dangers of burnout. You start to feel like you are alone in this, and you are not. I've been there myself, and sometimes you even feel ashamed of what you are going through. You feel that you maybe must be strong enough to carry this alone, but you don't have to carry this alone. You are not alone in this, and there are a lot of people that experience same symptoms. In my case, I also isolated myself from my colleagues, from my friends, my relatives. I felt that I have no energy, I have no joy in communicating with other people. Luckily, I have my husband who supported me on this journey, and also I asked for help. I worked with a therapist, and having those people that could help you and listen to you even in those days when you don't have hope, you don't have energy, makes a big difference. So ask for help. Talk to a friend, talk to a family member, talk to a therapist. Don't be ashamed. This is a very common problem, and and we are living now in the modern world, so you must not be ashamed of talking about burnout. There's just one small remark that I want to make here, because when I was burnt out, I spent several hours, countless hours, searching online on different forums like Reddit or Facebook groups and many others, stories of other people, how they dealt with burnout, their recovery story. And you see, what's the problem with this? Because okay, it can help you in some way because you feel that you are not alone, but the problem with all those forums is that usually they're just full of negative side of the people who go there and share that they're struggling, and people who already recovered or healed, they just moved on. They don't come back to those forums to share their story, because once you're healed, you're busy with living your life and achieving your goals, thinking about your future. And that's the problem. Those forums are just full with the negative side of the story, and often you don't see the stories of people who already recovered. If you spend too much time on those forums, you may be caught in this bubble and think that recovery is not possible, because often we don't see and we don't hear the story of people who healed and who build their new life. So yeah, you can study those forums, but just don't be caught in this negative side of the things. So what I could recommend is that instead of constantly consuming the content about burnout or reading different forums, try to find some books that help you with this topic, with personal development, with psychology, emotional intelligence. One book that I can truly recommend that helped me in this difficult period was the book The Happiness Trap by Russ. And what I love about this book is that it was filled with real-life examples of actionable steps, of stories of the people, how they overcome difficult periods of their life, and those steps that you can take and implement into your life. And this book was really helpful for me, so yeah, I really recommend, if you are now dealing with a burnout, read it and try to implement some steps in your life. So the next step was to set my boundaries. Because, as I said, burnout didn't happen overnight. It was the result of me for years ignoring my own needs and saying yes to other persons while saying no to my personal life, my values, my thoughts, my principles. So recovery also meant learning to protect my energy, to protect my opinion, my own time, my own values. That also meant saying no to the things that drained me and start to say yes to things that fulfill me. And again, I encourage you to start with small things like a walk or reading a book, cooking your favorite dish, or maybe buying some small presents for yourself, or just doing things that you are truly enjoying, that matters for you. Maybe it's something that doesn't have a big impact on the whole world, but it's important to you. Start to make things that you enjoy, that you value. Put your own interests first. And this is not about being selfish, it's just about taking care of your energy level first. And this is the surprising effect, because if you take care of you first, you will have enough energy to share it with others. It's like in the airplane, they always say to put your mask first and then to help others. And there's something about it. Only after doing these first steps, like rebuilding my baseline, asking for help for a therapist, taking care of my boundaries, I was ready for the next step. And this one was the hardest one. It was the diagnosis. I really recommend you not to start with diagnosis, because it's really hard to look back and to understand the mistakes that you did if you don't have proper energy, if you still have anxiety, if you are alone. Please just start by rebuilding your baseline, your energy, your deficits first, and then you can proceed with diagnosis. So at the stage of diagnosing myself, I had to ask myself a very difficult question. What was the thing or the things that brought me here, that brought me in this situation, in the stage of my life? What brought me to burnout? And before you start implementing this step, I want to ask you not to make it from place of judgment. We are not here to judge someone else, to judge ourselves. We are just here to watch, analyze, to learn from our experience. Make it from a place of curiosity and gratitude. Don't judge yourself. Because the goal here is not to put your past version on the trial. The goal here is to analyze what brought you here and what steps you can make now to make your future better. Remember that every decision you took in your past, you took it with the knowledge you had at that time, with the best intention you had for yourself. And sometimes, yes, we may regret about our decisions, but again, don't judge yourself. We are here to learn from it and just to move forward. Because if something was going on in your life that you don't really like, there is no reason why you can't change in starting us today. If you did something for 20 or 30 years and you don't like it, there is no reason to just not change it as of today. So at this stage in my life, when I was looking back at myself, I understood that the thing that brought me to burnout mostly was that I was constantly trying to prove something to someone else. I was trying to prove to my parents that I am enough, that I am worthy, that I am smart enough, that I am successful enough. I was trying to prove to my partners, to my friends, even to some people I don't even know. My problem was that no achievement ever felt like enough. I always was chasing more, next achievement. And when I was achieving the next goal, I never felt fulfilled or satisfied, because in my head I always thought that I have to prove something to my parents, to my partner, maybe to myself. And of course, my body and my mind got exhausted at one point. So I encourage you, study your past experiences with curiosity, with compassion, and try to understand what brought you to this situation. The answer is usually at the surface. It's just sometimes we don't have enough courage to recognize it. So once I understood my background, the real cause of my burnout, I had to start taking action. And this was next step in my journey. I like to think that I experienced burnout in my life because this was a sign from the universe that something is wrong in my life. In my case, I had to change my job, I had to change a lot of habits. For me, the hardest part about recovering, but also the most important, was to let go of this idea that my worth depends on some achievement. To stop proving to anybody else, to myself, to my parents, to anyone, that I'm worthy, because I am enough just like this, just by existing, just by who I am. For me, it required accepting that I don't have to control everything, that I don't have to be anymore this control freak or perfectionist. I had to let go this idea that I have to prove that I deserve love, I deserve happiness, I deserve money, I deserve better life, because we all deserve it by default, by our birth. And this might sound easy, but it was really hard, because those beliefs were deeply rooted in myself because of the background, because the environment, the social environment I grew up in. And it's difficult to change something that was planted in your head for tens and tens of years, but it's possible. And of course, I didn't change overnight. My beliefs, my habits didn't change overnight. It took me 4 long years to move out step by step to recover from this severe burnout. I really feel that I had to go through this hell to build a more fulfilling life, to build a better life, and to be more connected to myself. And honestly, even today, after 4 years, I still, of course, have some situations where I hear this echo of the past, those ideas that I have to prove something. The difference is that now I am aware of those thoughts. I now know that those thoughts are not true. It's just something I used to think. I have those thoughts in my head, but it doesn't mean that my life should be controlled by them. If you allow me to give me one single advice, that would be to have patience and hope. Because you see, when I started my journey of healing from burnout, started my work with therapists, I thought that this process would take me like several months. I thought that half of year will be enough for me, and it took me 4 years. And I'm still in the process of transformation. I am still learning new things about myself even now. And that's why I want to tell you something that I truly wanted to hear back then. Don't put a deadline on your healing. Don't put a pressure that you must heal in 1 month, 2 months, 1 year. The process will take as long as it needs. It may even take you 10 years or 20 years. Just let it take as long as it should, because your body knows better. And also be prepared that recovery isn't linear. There will be days that you will feel like you are making progress, but then suddenly you will wake up one day and you have this feeling that you just went to zero. Don't be discouraged by the days. It's just a part of the process, and it's okay. There are good days, there are bad days. Your small steps will compound and you will see the progress, and you will notice how your life will become better and better. And finally, I want to talk about hope, because when you first start your healing journey, the hope might be the hardest thing to hold on, because you might be exhausted, you might feel overwhelmed, you don't know how long it will take you to heal from burnout, you don't know how long you will stay on this journey. And naturally you can ask yourself how I'm gonna make it, how I'm gonna recover. And the thing that I've learned is that you don't need to know how you will gonna recover. You just need to know and trust that you can recover. Think about having flu. We don't know exactly how our body recovers from flu or different viruses. It's just some processes that are going through our bodies, that are happening inside, and our body recovers itself. Same with burnout. It's really complex process. We don't understand yet how we recover mentally or physically, but it's just really important that you will trust that you can recover, because positive thinking and hoping for the best are really crucial in this long process. So please don't lose hope, because it's possible. A better life is possible. Recovering is also possible. Because healing usually happens so gradually that you don't notice it day by day. But then one day you wake up in the morning and you feel more energized, you feel happier, you feel more fulfilled. And eventually you will look back and you will understand that you've came so far, and you will be so proud of yourself. This was my story, and I really hope that this video can help some other people that are going through some difficult period of their life. I just want you to know that you are not alone, and it will be better. And see you in the next one.